Good morning, everyone. This is Jim Jachetta, CTO and co-founder of VidOvation. Today on our Wednesday webinar, we have a very special guest, Greg Macchia from SimplyLive. He's the VP of Sales and Operations for the Americas. VidOvation has recently signed as a partner with SimplyLive, and we're very eager to integrate this technology with some of our live production capabilities, our at-home production, REMI production capabilities, particularly for contribution over bonded cellular and the public internet and other means. So, Greg, it's great to have you. Let me give you control. Why don't you introduce yourself, Greg?
Yeah, hi, Jim. I appreciate it. Very kind introduction. Happy to be here. Happy to have VidOvation partnered with us, and certainly, being able to combine our expertise and show what what we have to offer, and looking forward to building this relationship and doing many good things.
Awesome, awesome. You should have control.
Yeah. So we will go. So hopefully we should have the presentation up, ready to go. So just want to talk a little bit about, for those who do not know, who SimplyLive is, what do we do, what's our advantage. So, I mean, as many probably know, I mean, for us, we look at, what's the industry like right now for production. It's really about more and more content. As you used to have your traditional linear channels. Now with OTT and second, third screens and all of the different, platforms and streaming services, it's really about more and more content. But at the same time, the budgets get smaller, so there's always a challenge there. So when you look at let's say I would call it the traditional models of production truck or control room, it's typically there's a lot of hardware, a lot of cost there. So it's not always the efficient way to get that extra content. So, for SimplyLive, we look to come with a solution. So, we look again to do the savings across the board. So it starts with, just smaller infrastructure and cost. If we're talking about a more traditional, we do have a hardware model, but even that, it's all in one. It's smaller. It's a powerful system, but very small. And the people needed to operate the system. We've designed it to be very intuitive, very easy to use. So the training is very short, and you have a lot of power, and it's in front of you. So because we have video in our UIs, and we'll get more into that, it allows less people to do a lot more. And as part of that, it's just the system is easy to set up, able to set up locally or remotely. Again, the training time. So a lot of times it's the director or the producer, the people that are typically would be have operators there with them that they're doing the production with. For us, no, we make our interfaces such that they can be the ones doing it. So it's very powerful in that way. But most important, and I think for us, what we do, because there's a lot of good solutions out there, certainly at a very, low cost. But for us, it's about the quality. So for us, coming from the industry, we want that quality to be the best quality. So for us, the users of our system have no problem to put it on their linear channel because of the quality that our system brings. All the core pieces are there. And I think the last point, which is important, is the expertise of the team. I've been in the industry for a long time, over 20 years. The founders of the company, we come from the industry. We know the pain points, and we're again trying to bring solutions. And we know the parts as you get into cloud and all these different things, security and infrastructure and all of those pieces. We're very involved and going really deep in the technology part of it because it's very important.
Right. Well, one thing too, Greg, many of our customers, when it comes to replay, I know you come from EVS. A lot of your team are former EVS people. Not everyone can afford an EVS, and then because it's a complicated system, you need a highly trained operator. Then there's a shortage of operators. So like you said, you don't have to have a TD, an EVS operator. the producer can produce the show themselves. It's that simple, right?
Absolutely, and a lot of what we've been doing, that's been the scenario. I mean, there's TDs that operate the system. There are certainly EVS operators that can use it. We have a remote controller when we talk about replay, but it is at its core designed to work on a touch screen. So, you'll see in the videos that we show later, I mean, I'm using the touch screen. I have the video in front of me. It's all there. It's all intuitive and it's touch screen. So, even for, I call it the next generation. Today's generation, they're used to touch screen, touching, swiping. So we've built that in. And for somebody that doesn't know controllers, isn't used to a big, large switcher panel, screen is in front of them. They see, you touch, and it allows you to very easily, produce. And, and we design it. It's not meant to be like a switcher. It is, of course, but the way that it's designed, I mean, a big switcher can be intimidating. For me, I would have never, tried to switch a show, but with our system, it's certainly less intimidating and very easy to do. And I've actually early on, I did do that, which I would have never thought about. Even a small switcher, I wouldn't even go near it.
Right, right. Well, then you don't need the big multi-viewer in the front of the room or in the truck, or you don't have a truck. You have no way. You don't have room for a multi-viewer, and you don't have the personnel or the budget for a traditional, push button production switcher. So it's kind of like switcher, multi-viewer, all in one, right? Well, all with a touchscreen.
Exactly. I mean, it's there. So it's there in front of you and you don't need that. But, you talk about multi-viewer and we'll get into that. I mean, multi-viewer is also a component of what we do. Actually, it's web-based. So and that gets more into and we'll get into more details. But, because of this remote, you might have maybe a replay producer or part of the production team that isn't, next to the operators. We offer a web multi-viewer that, they can have access from a web browser to see what's going on. And in the video later, we'll see that as the director is switching, you'll see in the web multi-viewer that what they're doing can be followed to that multi-viewer. So for the operator, it's right there in front of them. They don't need it, but we do have that tool to be available for those as in, a more traditional multi-viewer. But again, over the web and really geared towards, the remote or cloud workflows.
Very good, very good. We have a video. It's a few minutes long, but I think it's really good to kind of give you an overview of where SimplyLive is coming from, kind of their business model. Anyone that has any questions, you're welcome to pop a comment in the question box or the chat box. We also have I have an SMS, a text message number that I have available that only comes to me. And if you have any questions now, or if there's a suggestion for an upcoming webinar, questions about VidOvation, questions about SimplyLive, you can text to 949-755-8881. That's 949-755-8881. All right, let me switch over and I will play the nice video. Here we go.
We are SimplyLive. We're the people who make live production more intuitive, more responsive, and less expensive. With our software, you can create live, multi-camera telecasts the way you see it, by simply touching what you need. Functions that used to be locked in hardware are now at your fingertips. Tap that shot to take it. Cue and scrub your slow-mo replays. Set up and run your graphics and transitions. It's all there in an easy-to-learn touchscreen interface. It's called Vbox, and it lets you work the way you want. The Vbox platform is entirely software-driven. It comes in different configurations for different tasks. The various application layers connect with a common software backend, so the same touchscreen can handle live switching, or slow-mo replay, or referee review, or master record. or all of them at once. When the hardware gets out of your way, you can create your show intuitively and dynamically. That's what makes great television. Your talent unrestrained. Vbox is powerful enough to tackle the toughest jobs in broadcasting without dropping the ball. The big players know that, and that's why they're using our systems right now. A modest event can be mixed and telecast by one person on one touchscreen with a fast internet. Or for larger events, you can network multiple Vbox servers and scale up to dozens of slowmo channels. But what we've achieved till now is only the foundation of where our vision will take us. The jobs of live TV are the same, but the people doing them are no longer anchored to hunks of iron. They won't need to sit together in expensive control centers loaded with proprietary equipment. In fact, they won't really need to be in the same town. Right now, Vbox software runs on commodity hardware that you can locate at the venue or the production center. But as television moves deeper into the IP universe, the physical location of the talent and the technology fades in relevance. In the future, your talent can be anywhere you want them. And the technology in the cloud. Vbox is the natural outcome of the move to IP-based television. Flexible, lightweight, less expensive production can deliver more diverse, high-quality content at a lower cost. Today's sports viewer might be watching on a big screen TV in the living room or on their phone in a snack bar. However they receive it, they've come to expect more choice. The audience isn't getting bigger. The demand for more content is. Whoever delivers what the viewers want wins. That's why what we're doing is so important. The minds at SimplyLive believe in offering solutions that are fully future imagined. Ready now? Ready for what's next?
So I guess, Greg, that says everything. We can wrap it up.
Exactly. It makes my job easy, right?
Well,
That covers it.
I should also say that GoToWebinar uses extremely low bit rate and very low frame rate. So any kind of stuttering you saw in that video, it's the GoToMeeting tool, not anything that Greg's doing or I'm doing. Just want to throw that out there. You should have control back, Greg.
Okay. So just a little bit more. I mean, again, the video hopefully gives a good basis. I mean, it is on our website, so certainly feel free to see. But so our approach, I mean, we've talked about there a bit, but for us, we call it disruptive, game changing. I mean, for us, we want to bring a change. We want to bring a new way of doing things, and so that's really been the way that we've approached it. What's very important is software architecture. So when we talk about these remote workflows and we talk about the cloud, for us, it's not it's not a dream. It's been designed that way. So for us today, I mean, we have installations, we have real tests that we're doing in cloud, Amazon, Google. So we're able to do that because it's software. So you have to architect the instances correctly, but certainly it's very easy to do. So as part of that, being able to work with all of the formats, of course, SDI, NDI, but then, for streaming and remote workflows, SRT, RTP, UDP. So all of these are built in as IOs for our systems. Of course, as I said, migrating to cloud. And then again, the way that we design the interface to be easy to use and collaborative in the sense that, as you see the different user interfaces that we offer, it could be a single user, again, doing the full production, or it can span to multiple users working together, kind of, your TD director and replay operators, or for review, and we'll get into some of those details. Here. So now getting a little bit into the there we go. The architecture. So how the system fits together. So first we start with the back end. So basically that's your server engine, your I/O that manages the core of the system. And now where that runs, it can run on more traditional hardware. So we can offer it as a hardware option, that can be scaled as needed based on channels and users. And I'll get into a little bit more detail. But more importantly, we can run that on an instance in a private data center. So we have partners like Tata that has their data center infrastructure that we can just run our software in that scenario. And again, as I already mentioned, in the cloud. So we're able to have that, again, because it's software based, to be available there in those different places. So that's the core, that's your engine. And then on the front, for the user, we have the different software user interfaces that control that server. So we start with the Vbox all-in-one, which again, it could be a single operator doing all of the live switching, the replays, the keying of graphics, the mixing, the audio integration. So all of that can be done from a single user. And then we have the replay. So the Vbox replay, which can be a standalone just for replay and a large replay infrastructure, or it can be secondary users in that all-in-one where you could have more than one user breaking up the workflow. Then we have a user interface specifically. It's called Vbox for referee or official review or coaching. So again, the UI is designed specifically for that application, pinch and zoom, so designed again around the analysis. And then we have the BMR, which is ISO recording. So, taking your ISOs, being able to stream them off to storage, a NAS or removable storage for post-production. Then for the I/O, again, we talked about it, but being flexible there in the I/O, if you've got hardware doing, 3G or 12 gig for your SDI I/O, being able to do NDI, or then the streaming options for, for example, if we talk about, your bonded cellular solutions where you might have on site, send those streams back, and that could be on hardware, it could be in the cloud, it could be in your data center. And then, we stick to the core of what we do, and then we give easy integration to the other pieces. So graphics, there's a lot of great graphic solutions out there. So we allow you to integrate your graphics engine over NDI. So we're not tying up those precious I/O channels. We have specific connectivity over NDI, to be able to bring your graphics engine in. And then for audio, same thing. We have embedded audio in and out of the system, but we can integrate over, the standard Dante or AS67 to be able to integrate with an external mixer to do full audio mixing and kind of get the, the best of the full setup. So now going a little bit into the hardware, again, just showing the scalability of what we can offer. So, we start, we call it affordability, certainly for us, an entry level as far as the cost. But keep in mind the software, again, the software that runs on this platform, which we start at the Mini. So, this is designed to be portable, designed to be a single user, and getting at a price point that, could be entry level for, again, an all-in-one, high schools or universities, might be, because of budget constraints, they might use this hardware platform. But again, the software is the same, and we just limit it by channels. So it starts at micro, which would be a 1 in, 1 out, all the way up to an 8 channel. So, even in the Mini, you can do a 6 in, 2 out replay, single user that would be comparable to, the full system capabilities. It's just, about the piece of hardware that's running here in this instance. And then we scale up to the next level, which, we have a 4U server, and here we get into, multiple user, networking, RAID storage, redundant power supply. So again, the cost goes up a bit, but still very affordable considering what we're offering and having the ability to be, up to 1080p multi-channel, all the way up to 16 channels in this configuration. And then we have UHD, of course. So there we can go up to 12 channels in UHD. So we kind of have two platforms that we do there. It could be standalone, single server, that's up to 8 channels, or we can scale all the way up to 12 channels in a 2U chassis. So again, showing, you know, in a more traditional sense, hardware, but keep in mind, you know, if we look at this 4U server, that's the server, that's the engine. That is your interface for your I/O channels. That's where you can connect your graphics into. So, you know, we're not talking about a lot of kit, a lot of hardware, you know, to be able to do the things that we're talking about. So now we're going to jump into the applications and what we do on the user side. So, you know, we talk about the all-in-one. So this is an example of the user interface. And just after this, we'll actually have a video where I'll get into a little bit more detail just to show the operational part of it. But, you know, here, you know, this is the all-in-one. So this would be the screen that the single operator is able to do the live cutting, the replays, the keying of graphics. So you'll see maybe it looks a little busy, but certainly it just shows that, you know, with design, we've got colors and we've got, you know, a very intuitive interface to be able to operate if you want to do all of the control. And then just to show again that we, you know, we changed the UI based on the role. Here we call it Vbox Live. So again, it would be around a production, but here we simplify it where, you know, this might be more where, you know, replays aren't necessary, where you just want to, you know, focus on your live sources, cut live sources, maybe play in pre-produced for a studio show or something that's corporate, or this could be the UI that I use as the TD director when I'm working with a second or third operator that are doing the replay. And this just, you know, shows a little bit more detail on the different areas, but, you know, I won't get into too much here because we actually have the video that, so what we'll do here, so we pre-recorded this, so it's a bit easier for the webinar here, but you know, I'll walk through the operation of the all-in-one. So this particular interface, so you get the idea of kind of the operation of our system would be I'm the operator. I'm going to be doing the live production. That allows me to do all of it. The live cutting, I'll show the replays, I'll show how I can key on the graphics, and give everybody a good idea of how that works.
Okay, I should have a video. Yeah, so this is pre-recorded. Greg will talk over the video, and again, apologies if it's a little choppy. We're kind of single-digit frame rate here with GoToWebinar.
So here you'll see, so if you watch here the program, so for me, I see I've got my program in preview, and then I've got my live and replay multi-viewer. So I use the live for the switching of live, and then I have my same inputs for replay. I have my asset management up in the top left, so clips, graphics that I've pre-imported, that's where I would go for that. Then I have a playlist area. So again, as I'm going through live production, I have clips. I want to build a rollout or a highlight package, I'm able to do that. I have some audio controls. So there, if I'm connected to a smaller audio mixer, I can trigger snapshots or control what audio I'm listening to. And then I have graphics area. So there I have 3 keyable layers of graphics that could be pre-produced graphics that I've imported in, or more importantly, again, I could have up to 2 NDI engines there. So now you'll see we've switched over, and I'm going to show you kind of how I operate. So you see this is showing a 4 camera, and there, maybe it's hard to see, but under the red, I just tap the video that I see, and I'm cutting it live on program there in the middle left. So you'll see I tap and I cut the camera angle. Under the green, I can tap under the green and it puts it in preview, and then I have manual transition. So I can do a dissolve, for example, or you know, different kinds of wipes that I would bring in. Otherwise, I tap under red and I can, you know, switch the camera. Same idea for graphics. So you see there on the graphics, if I tap under the red, it keys that graphic on and off. I can tap on the green, it comes to me in preview, and then I can effect over with that graphic. So normal operation there, I'm keying it on and off again with the same idea. Red always represents program, and green represents preview and what I'm doing there on the screen. Here I'm showing now that top right, you'll see the external graphics engine. This is just showing how we integrate with the NDI. So this could be a separate graphics operator on a Viz, Chiron, AJT system. So they are controlling that separate graphics system, and you see that because I have it keyed on, you see that the multi-layer NDI is available to me there. Top left, I'm showing, how I have access to, to the assets. So this could be a pre-produced promo that I've imported into the system. So obviously we can manage clips on the import and output. They are just showing easily how I select. I tap on green, it brings it to preview, and then I can select when I bring it back on air. And then again, I can tap my live cameras and, I'm back to the live production. Now you see that bottom row, that's those same 4 cameras, but now you see in the bottom right, I have touch control, and you'll see now that I'm controlling those sources. So those sources are being looped record, and when I'm ready, I can tap a replay. You see it automatically triggered a replay wipe, and now I can control the speed. Maybe it's a bit hard to see there. Now I effect, and I went to a second angle. Again, I tap under the red, I tap under the red again, and you'll see that I quickly triggered 3 replays. Now I'll tap live. I get my live replay wipe, and now I'm back to live. So you can see how quick and easy that is. Here, just showing too that, when I have replays, I can cue at different points. So, let's say it was a big shot. You'll see in preview, I actually put a replay angle of the reaction. I trigger first replay. While that replay is going, I can still control my sources, so I can go at a different time code for the replay. Then from preview, I tap that reaction and I come back to live. So just showing really the speed and how I can do all of those actions quickly within the UI. Here, just showing again, what you might need in a live production, just showing picture in picture. So we can create these pips and, allow you to do a 2-box there and be able to switch in those boxes. Now, just looking there, you see again in the library area, those are clips. So as I'm going along, I can be creating, highlights of the different actions that happened. So here I'm showing, I quickly selected, multiple clips. Maybe I want to build a highlight package. I select them, I enter them into a playlist, and, I can build that playlist. Now I have it ready to go. So these are maybe 6 or 7 clips between breaks. I'm able to obviously edit and move them around. And now just showing, I've built the playlist, and now I'm rolling through. It's hard to see here, but within my UI, I would say, okay, this is clip 3 or 4. I've got a countdown, so I can really watch, what I'm doing. And when I'm ready, before I get to the end of the playlist, I simply go back to live, and I've gone through and rolled the playlist. So I think that's all of the of those features. So I know that was quick, but hopefully it just at least gives you a sense of how I'm able to go through all of the basic requirements of the live production. Again, cutting the cameras, being able to do different effects between them, doing the replays, keying the graphics, building highlight packages. So these all are the main things that you need to do. Hopefully that was.
Yeah, you should have control, Craig.
All right, back up. So that was the all-in-one again. Now just going through the other users, this is for replay. So showing here the UI, it's a bit different where I've got my sources up top. I have a multi-viewer area, and then I've got my program outputs, and I still have access to clips and playlists, but it's designed differently. It's designed around the operation that would be expected from a replay operator. And here we get into this shows a little bit more detail of what we have. So if you can see here in the top, those are my replay sources. So those would be the ISOs that are being recorded in. And similar to what you saw in the all-in-one, I'm able to control these all in sync. So which I think is a great feature of how our replay works. I obviously have control. I have outputs 1 and 2. If I'm doing a traditional replay playback to, let's say, a switcher, but I'm not only controlling those outputs. I have access to all of my input sources to scroll back, review, and then decide what I cue on my outputs to play back. The other thing I have is layout. So when we get into a more complicated replay setup, maybe I might have 24 or 36 sources across multiple servers. The way that we design our system is you can build your layout. So I can have layouts of all different cameras. For golf, it might be, layouts based on holes, or for sports, it might be ISOs, or, certain areas of the field. So I can build multiple layouts in my UI, and as an operator, select, which camera angles I'm looking at to have available to me to queue up and obviously do replays. So again, intuitive layout, replay sources. I select, tap under red and green to, to decide which area I'm going to queue it to. I have playback capabilities here, marking of clips, my playlist areas and clips. So again, kind of you start to get a sense of our design and how it looks and how it works. Then next we have, we talked about the ref review. So here again, you see a little bit of a different UI, and this is for review. So, it's, again, meant to be very simple. This could be the official themselves that is controlling it to be able to do the review. And here, we can go to how that layout works. So here you'll see 8 angles, and actually for the review we could go up to 16 sources. So if you had 16 sources coming in from for a football game or basketball, I have the ability in the UI here to see those sources, again, control them in sync. In any of these I can determine, okay, these 4 angles, select those, go to a different view. I'm able to pinch and zoom within any of these, because again, this is for analysis. So when did the ball leave the hand, etc. Again, very intuitive controls as far as, jogging back and forth with the wheel, or in the blue area like I showed in the all-in-one, be able to play back at preset speeds. Again, source clips and clip and cue library to access, clips that you've made along the way. And, especially for review, a picture-in-picture here we would use for a clock, for example. So basketball, the shot clock went to 0, to be able to select, one or multiple angles along with the shot clock in the view to be able to decide, hey, was that shot, did that shot get off in time? So again, features specific to, what the application is. And again, tied to the same, back-end IO server. Then here we talked about the BMR. So again, showing the UI. This again, it's pretty simple, straightforward to show you the sources that are coming into the backend engine, recording, and then deciding, setting up destinations if you want to stream off to a NAS, for example, and be able to have that then being accessed for post-production. So essentially, our server here acts as a buffer. So again, because we're doing loop recording, I can take that content, that high res, it could be DNX 145, it could be H.264 that we transcode on the way out, and you're moving that off to be able to have access to the full ISO recordings. But when we talk about replay, or the workflow where you're clipping, we have export. So as a replay operator, I'm marking a bunch of clips, I'm doing the highlights, of course, that becomes sort of your melt reel of the action of the event. We use export. It's just another application that gets connected to the system, and you can set up auto backup and archiving so that the operator can determine the shots that they want. They're connected to some removable storage or USB drive connected to the server, select the shots they want and be able to archive those and walk away, or be able to have, the week after week or game after game archive that then I can always import into my system for my production. So now, again, looking in a little bit more detail of how the pieces fit together. So, this would be a more traditional on-site and a LAN architecture. So again, this is showing, the pieces. On the left, you would have your hardware specific, again, to the requirement that you have. So that's what the back-end software running here, managing your I/O. And then we connect over LAN in this case for the UI. So again, if this is on a campus, this certainly could be, the server could potentially be at the arena or the stadium, and the operator could be, across the campus, in a control room elsewhere. And again, these proxy sources are being generated by the server and fed over the connection for the operator to do the job. And in the example that I gave in the demo on, how they're able to manipulate the production. In this local setup, you'll see, our proxies we're using JPEG, motion JPEG, and it could be anywhere from 100 to 150 to 200, which in this setup it's not a problem. And so when we talk about that, this gives an example of, again, we talk about the scalability of the system. So this could be a nice little small setup on the left. I'm integrating over USB to a little audio mixer. I've got my little laptop for graphics, single operator. I've got my UI here that I can control faders for the mixer, and I'm doing the production as an all-in-one here. It could be 2-4 camera, a soccer match, or whatever it might be. And on the right, showing, same idea built around replay. So again, very powerful. It could be a 6-in, 2-out, and it could be all touchscreen driven or combination with a remote. So here you'll see a more traditional remote. Again, for those types of operators that are used to that and want to use it, they can have the ability to use both touchscreen and remote controller.
Very good.
Here we look at, scaling that. So, I already talked a bit about, the different applications. So here we go to the larger server. So this would be the 16-channel server. Here we're it's a more technical drawing, but showing, a 12 camera production. I've got my program clean and dirty out. Here I'm integrating with a larger audio mixer over Dante. And then here you see I've got multiple users, again, set up in the LAN architecture, but you'll see each user has their own mini PC that they have access to their job. So the first one would be, that live UI where I'm mainly focusing on the live switching. And then I have the replay UIs, and I could have here I'm showing, again, 12 camera production, 2 replay operators, and of course the graphics as well, being able to do a larger scale production with the multi-user collaborative workflow. Here, when we talk about multiple users, those multiple users also could be, again, across those different applications. So here I'm showing, you might have a traditional switcher, you're using us for replay into that traditional switcher, but then you also have the official review aspect of it. So here, again, we're taking advantage of the core I/O engine here. And here I'm showing, for example, 8 sources. Those 8 sources are available to the replay operators that are doing the live production, but these same sources are also could be available for a Vbox user here that's doing, official review, that they have separate control of those same sources. So again, you're not recording again for the separate application, but you can work with multiple users on the same box in different applications. And now we look at network architecture. So again, scaling and growing. So especially when we talk about standalone replay, you need to scale to some of these larger productions. We're able to network servers, could be 10 gig, or we could put larger NICs and cards in for a larger network. But over 10 gig, we can manage multiple servers. So here, expanding, being able to have more inputs for replay, to be able to do larger scale replay. And I always like to give real examples. this is many servers. You'll see this is a real application that we did for the America's Cup, where we were providing all of the replay. So here we were recording 42 sources, and we had 7 replay operators that had access to these sources for doing replays, you know, obviously, and then play back into the live productions. And at the same time, we were streaming off to NAS storage, because there was post-production being done that, you know, the highlights were available for them. They were able to send the clips back, and these operators have access to all of this content. So again, I briefly talked about it, but the way that our replay works is, you know, a replay operator is tied to specific channels on a server, but after that, they have full access to all of these inputs across the server. So when I'm operator 1 here, I have maybe my 2 outputs, but it doesn't matter to me where the sources are coming from. I create my layouts based on what I need to be doing, the replays that I need to be doing, and everything that I create is available to everybody across the network. So it's very powerful. So again, here we, you know, this particular setup, you know, we got up to 20,000 clips and almost 350 highlight packages. So just to show the scale of what we're doing. And again, so again, entry level, simple replay, or scaling to this level of replay.
And is there a limit to the scalability? I mean, you could just add more servers if you have a fat enough internet networking pipe between the servers. It's the sky's the limit.
Hopefully, it's a high enough sky. Obviously, you know, here, you know, we wouldn't put 100 servers on a 10 gig network if everybody's trying to go to the same content. You know, there's some limitations there, but you know, you know, it's not anything that's not obvious, and you know, we would scale accordingly to, you know, you would add more servers potentially, you know, if you needed, because you don't want, you know, multiple users going to the same server. So the point being, you know, we can scale it accordingly. Again, we can make that network larger, and you know, we've done everything in the design of our software to, you know, to optimize and limit, let's say, the you know, the bandwidth and network issues that you could run into.
Very cool.
So now, of course, talking about remote, you know, we show, again, I showed that the initial setup, which would be local. Here, you know, as of course the pandemic made remote productions even more critical, you know, we add an extra little piece to be able to optimize what the operator sees on their UI. So here, when we talk about having an operator distant from the kit, so here again, you have the hardware that you would need, and the idea here is this would be sitting on site at the venue in the production truck. We add one extra 1U, and what this is doing is it's integrated with the server, and it's creating optimized H.264 proxies, so that now when I connect over a WAN VPN connection, again, this could be me at home and on my home internet, I have optimized the video and my UI so that now I can really work in distance connectivity and really have essentially a very good experience. Because again, especially when you're talking about replay, having that feel and not suffering from extra lag and latency, this is very critical in the setup. So that's showing it as single, and this can be expanded again, showing a larger server and multiple users. So this UI gateway is able to give access to multiple users. And the other thing that this does is a web multi-viewer. So I mentioned that, and we'll get into a little bit more details. But again, because of this extra piece of hardware and software is managing or has access to all of the sources, both inputs, live and replay, we now take that and we service as a web multi-viewer, which could be for those remote operators, or it could be for, you know, another production person that's located somewhere else. So again, just talking a little bit more about that particular appliance. So again, it's a UI gateway. It's Linux based, so it's creating H.264 over WebRTC, so very reliable, low latency. and you have again, because bandwidth, you never know, especially depending on where the venue is, you have controls within to determine what each source is getting, so that you could try to go anywhere from 5 to 50 megabits per second to really optimize based on the connectivity what you see. And again, being able to support multiple servers, many sources. And again, here we talk about plus or minus 42 sources, but if you need more, it's simple to just add another UI gateway and expand on what you can do there. And this is an example of what that web multi-viewer looks like. Again, so it's showing that it's over a web browser, and we actually have a video which I'll get into, get a little bit more detail with tallies. And the other very important thing is the audio monitoring. So the audio is also available. So within any of these sources, whether it's a replay or a live source, I'm able to listen to the different audio within the architecture to be able to monitor all audio as well. And this just showing, now that we add that piece, this is a graphical representation of, your hardware kit, let's say, that could be sitting in the production truck at the site server. We had the UI gateway. You could have, nearline storage. You've got your audio mixer. You've got your graphics. So all of those engines, let's say, are living together. And then remotely, you have your different operators that are, doing their specific roles remotely attached to the system. And we've done a lot of this work, real work. There's a lot of good articles in SVG. Certainly early on in the pandemic, ESPN, their whole live from home initiative, they were doing, operators were at home, connected into, a server on the East Coast and doing, live from home productions early on in the pandemic using the Vbox in this type of setup. If you want, we have a web multi-viewer, just to go a little bit more detail, because I think that's that's a very powerful. Again, when we talk about remote, we're talking about people being in different places, and again, ease and easy to use. So this is as simple as sending somebody a web link, connecting, and then they'll have the web multi-viewer interface in front of them to see what's happening.
Do you want me to roll the video?
Yep, if we can roll it, be great.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah, so there we go. So showing here that, so here just showing, again, it's web. So you see I'm connecting. So this would mean, let's say, as the administrator, the engineer, setting up that, we have security built in, we know that. So, to be able to have password protection to get into the system. So this would be me logging in, and now you see, a web configuration. So this is where I would go to set up the system. So here again, you see the password, so you can determine what that is. And for added security, again, knowing what the requirements might be, white and a blacklist, so you can determine who connects or doesn't. Then we also even add another layer, which is a waiting room. So, for example, when I create a layout, I can determine, do they automatically go in or do I have to let them in? This is then just showing some monitoring. So again, for me as the engineer, if I want to see any of the sources that are available, I can quickly click and you see that, okay, I see that, the sources are available and ready. And then the last tab there on the left, I can go to the layout. So here you see examples. I can build multiple layouts. And then when I have them, it's simply selecting the web link, the browser link, sharing it, and sending it out to the user. So here, just showing quickly how to build one. So, I'm going to build a new layout. I have the option, is it a waiting room or not? So again, I can determine whether I let them in. For here, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to build a layout for a replay producer. You can see there we have kind of predetermined layouts, so you can select from 1 box to 4 box, 2 big boxes, 8 little boxes. So, I can select those, and then you see in each individual one, I can actually determine, okay, here are all my sources available to me. So I can be very flexible in how many and what types of layouts that I build. So once I save it, you see it's available to me there, and then, I can share it with, with users. So here I'm just going to show an example. Let's say there's a remote talent. So I'm going to be sending them the program. So here you'll see they try to connect and they're getting the spinning wheel because they're sitting in the waiting room, because I've determined that. So now for me as, the administrator, I can go in and you'll see here in my monitoring tool, okay, there they are. They're in the waiting room. I see that they're there and available. And now I can say, okay, let them in. Now they're going to be able to access, and you'll see when I go back, now they've been put into the connection, and now you'll see that the system will wake up. And here you go on the talent on my web viewer. I'm going to go full screen, and I'm watching the program output here. And again, you see there that I'm also monitoring audio. So within the system, I have access to all of the embedded channels. So you see here, I'm just showing the example. If I want to listen to different audio, because I have up to 16 embedded audio channels, I can select any of those, what pair I'm listening to. And then we even also have custom audio. So especially if you're working with a mixer, you have some mix minus, a talent, is going to have particular things that they want to listen to. They can select that, and now I'm listening to that specific custom audio. So you see, very flexible in the power and what we can do. So now I just want to show, how the interaction works. So here I'm going to show the example of, I'm the director, the live director, and I'm going to show, the live UI, and you'll see that the screen on the left will be the actual operator screen. And then on the right, I'm going to show the web multi-viewer. So here, this is the web multi-viewer. So this could be, next to that director at his home, or maybe it's somebody else. So you'll see on the left, I have my UI. And you'll see, like, I'm going to be cutting around, and you'll notice on the right, which is my web multi-viewer, you'll notice that that red tally is moving around based on what I'm cutting. And in the top left, you'll see my program output. That's switching there as well. Or the graphics. As I change graphics or key graphics, you'll see on the right that could be a web multi-viewer for, a remote production person watching and being able to see everything that's going on as I operate on the left-hand side. So that was the for the live, and now again, just to show the different layouts, this is now the scenario where I could be a remote replay operator. So, this could be the replay operator. Again, you'll see their UI on the left, and on the right is the web multi-viewer. That could be a distant replay producer. So there, the layout has the two programs on the top. So, and then on the bottom, you'll see there's 2 rows of 6. So one row is the live cameras, and the other row is the replay. So you'll see as the replay operator on the left is controlling, that bottom row moves along with the replay operator, but the top stays live. So as a replay producer, I can see exactly what they're doing. When they roll the replay in the top program 1 and 2, I can watch what's going on. As they control, I can see everything that's going on. And again, as they're controlling those replay sources, I still see the live. So I have a lot of flexibility in what I can see. Here, one other feature is, because we have picture-in-picture, I'm going to show an example of if I'm recording the clock on a replay, I can throw the clock up there, throw a picture-in-picture directly from, the replay operator. So again, showing, for me, I'm the remote producer, and I can see exactly what's going on. So there in the top left, I see that they've got the synced replay, and again, showing that the full interactivity with the web multi-viewer.
Very good. Let me give you back control. There you go.
Here we are working in our collaborative workflow, right? We don't have any questions thus far. Nobody in our audience out there.
I think maybe Everyone's overwhelmed with so much good information. We're still digesting it, so no questions yet.
Okay. Yes, I mean, I know it's a lot, and maybe I'm going, it's quick, but hopefully it's just to show the different pieces that we have. I know it's a lot there, but again, hopefully showing that we have a lot of products, a lot of different applications, but that all for us it's the building blocks coming together for live production, whether I'm on site, at home, whether it's cloud, data center, control room, all of these, these bricks that come together to build our system, they could be together or they could be moved around as needed. So hopefully, showing our flexibility there. So, the web multi-viewer as part of the UI gateway, I was showing there, that product as kind of integrated in our system, but, that product in itself is a very powerful tool. So, we'll be releasing now just a standalone web multi-viewer. So, if you've got a whole bunch of sources, could be streaming sources, could be physical sources and hardware, we're building the web multi-viewer as a standalone platform to be able to offer that. So, we build it again upon, multiple software, so microservices. So, per system, let's say, we have 16 channels of video that we can manage along with those 16 channels of embedded audio. Then we can also get more audio over Dante or AES. Again, we're doing the H.264 or over WebRTC. And then you have the web server, which basically is going to manage the distribution based on, how many users are going to be using those multi-viewers. And, so our first iteration is going to be very powerful. So we can put a bunch of 16 channel, systems together to get all the way up to 256 video channels of multi-viewer. And it's a big number, but it's a lot of audio, 5,120 audio channels. So again, as part of the multi-viewer and over a web browser, being able to monitor the audio as well is very powerful offering in what we're doing there. And again, the availability of how many multi-viewer outputs you have is going to be built on the architecture of the system you build around the web server. So remote production workflows, I like to get into actual applications that, that we've done. So, here again, this is the idea of having your operators at a different location from the system. So, for us, a perfect example is, when you're doing a REMI workflow, and you want to add some higher frame rate camera. So 3, 4, 6, 8 times SuperMo. That's a lot of feeds to send back in a traditional REMI for just one camera. So, we implemented this workflow where we put our hardware on site. We simply added that additional 1U UI gateway, and we record all of those extra sources on site into our server. And then we just send back, the 1 or 2 outputs of that server. And here in this instance, in a real workflow that we did, we actually sent it back as SRT. So, not tying up any of those satellite channels over SRT, and then the replay operators are back at the production center, or they could be at home controlling that server and controlling those SuperMo replays. Here, similar idea for golf. So here we get into the scenario where at the top, this is at venue. So this is a truck on site at the golf course. Here showing the fact that it's multiple servers. So we're networking the replay servers together and recording 36 ISO sources from the golf course. And here the operators are remote. Here in this case, the operators are actually in Europe. So in Europe, the remote replay operator was controlling servers that were sitting here at the venues in the U.S. So, what was going back at their control room was a typical world feed. So they were getting the feed and some sources, and they actually had a replay box there that was part of their main production. But then the key was these additional outputs that were coming from venue with these additional sources. So this operator was in Europe, controlling all of those sources back on site and basically supplementing the golf coverage. So being able to use those layout changes on the fly, covering certain players or groups that, were important to them, and being able to add a huge benefit, to their traditional world feed coverage. Here, another real example is here, different application, but for the Vbox or review. So we've been working with the International Ice Hockey Federation, and for certain women's and juniors and men's tournaments, they supply the review for the video goal judge, medical teams. So here, we have this large infrastructure that we would put at venue. So, the video goal judge is there. So, if there's any review that needs to happen, there's a medical component if somebody gets hurt, or, the teams. What's big about the teams in this setup is the fact that, they have, it's about kind of full transparency. They're able to see, they're all connected into the same server. So those 24 sources that the video goal judge might be using, the teams have access to that as well. And they can share that with, a surface that's a tablet that's sitting at the benches. So very powerful setup. But the other remote piece is at the same time, the IIHF has, judiciary disciplinary, so kind of other rule infractions that they monitor, and they do this remotely. So they would be connecting in from their Zurich office into the system that would be at venue, depending on where the tournament is taking place. And one more here, I mentioned Tata. So, we work with them and here again, because we're software based, we actually run our software on their private cloud, on their data center. So, they have their infrastructure where they would be getting feeds from on site. And this is a scenario also for review where, here there were multiple judges for sailing events that, couldn't be on site. So this is a little bit of a different version where, here they're running with Teradici. So they run those UIs next to the server instance in their infrastructure, and then we provide these remote interfaces. So these judges are all in different places, being able to have either their own control that they could work in tandem in doing reviews for, the events that are happening on site. And then we talk about the cloud. So again, because our core design and system is software, we're able to move those components to the cloud. So, here you see the similar drawing that I showed earlier where we have our applications layers, but here instead of connecting to hardware or the data center, we're connecting to the cloud. So we run the different required instances in Amazon or in Google, for example, and, you have your ingest and play out that would be coming from, whatever sources it might be, so something hopefully we'll be doing more of is your bonded cellular, where you could provide those feeds to us in the cloud. We have our system there depending on what is, what the production requirement is, and then, offering the playback.
Right. Yeah, our partner Avi West, their cloud stream hub. They have physical stream hub with SDI out and IP out, but they also have cloud. The common denominator for interoperability is SRT, right? So we can we can be adjacent to the SimplyLive cloud and hand off SRT feeds of live camera feeds that way.
Exactly. So you see here kind of, again, a graphical representation. So in the cloud, we have our key pieces, our backend server, you've got software audio mixer, you've got the UI gateway to provide multi-viewer or optimized UIs, and then your graphics. So that all can, is integrated together in the cloud. And as you mentioned, SRT. So, we have a product with Venue Gateway. If you have, let's say, physical SDI cameras on site, we have a utility to be able to get those and bring them in as an SRT, or like you said, the Avi West could provide those to us. And then again, you have all your individual users and all of the requirements that they have connecting in, including remote talent, to be able to do a full live production in the cloud, This is, this is not fake. This is not pretend. This is core in our vision and what we do, and we're able to do that. And here again, just showing another example, this would just be around replay. So there's other providers there. For example, we also are partnered with Panasonic on their solution, their Kairos solution. So you may want to use that on the switcher side, no problem. We can just launch this as replay. And here showing again, your SRT or UDP feeds in and out. We do that for replay, and showing that we can, if you want to work with our UI gateway, we call it optimized because we kind of control and it's a very full experience. But again, if you wanted to use Teradicci or nice DCV, we could also run the UI connected to the server in the cloud instance, and then just do it as a thin client scenario. We're able to do both.
Okay. I should also add too that in addition to SRT, we can interop with NDI as well. I see on all your slides you have transport, you have UDP, SRT, NDI, and our cloud solutions can support all that. So whatever your IP preference is, most likely we support it.
Exactly. And there too, like JPEG XS, that's another one that's on our list. So, as that grows, as that changes, for us, our design is really all of the work, and all of we do is in the server, in our software, in that back-end engine. So for us, it's, let's make it as simple as it is, no matter what your format is, just to get it into that engine, and then we process it. They're essentially the same. So, for us, it's relatively easy, to be able to add more, more IO capability. One last thing to talk about, again, talking about live production is slowmo. So, AI SuperMo. So again, when we talk about efficiency and cost savings, this is the ability to take a standard camera and using, AI software that we designed to be able to create, 2, 3, 4 time AI generated SuperMo for your clip. So, the first iteration that we have today is, taking a clip that you've done, maybe you have a 3, 4, 5 second clip, sending it through the engine. It automatically comes back to the server, and you can play it out with that generated, SuperMo smoother replay look. And for there, we're working towards then having that engine on a network to be able to do it live. So the idea of a replay operator, I'll be able to scroll back in my record train, kind of go into this, AI SuperMo. You might have to wait a very short period of time, maybe a second. It's ready. Once AI is already loaded, you can take that standard camera and play it back on the fly as a higher frame rate replay. And that is my spiel.
Well, thank you.
Hopefully everybody didn't get tired of hearing my voice, but I certainly appreciate the opportunity. And a lot of stuff packed in there, but if you can see behind me, we have the studio here, so hopefully happy to get into more details with you and end users that would like to get into a little bit more depth of the many different things we talked about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I wish I had more questions, but we only signed a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to get Greg, on the webinar, and I was listening. I'm checking Facebook, and I'm TDing here while on camera, so I'm learning like the rest of you. And if you folks have any questions, let me put this slide up. Let me take back control. Yeah, let me see, show my screen. Here we go. Yeah, you can call VidOvation at 949-777-5435. You can email me, jimj@vidovation.com, and we'd welcome an opportunity, as Greg mentioned, to set up a demo. We can do a virtual demo. We can do an in-person demo. But we're very excited at the synergy. I think you can help a lot of our customers, Greg. Not everyone can can afford a high-end production switcher. Not everyone can afford high-end replay. So you tick a lot of boxes. You work in the cloud, you work with physical hardware, you can do touchscreen, but then those old school operators that insist on having a button, you can facilitate that as well. So I think you can help a lot of our mutual customers produce more content, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. And for us, it's we try to show how high we can go and how far we can go. So when you talk about replay, I mean, it's our replay is very affordable but powerful, just as powerful as the high end. So when we talk about when I show those larger scale setup, is to say, well, hey, SimplyLive offers a solution at the high end, but oh wait, by the way, it's also available in an entry level. So, but it's the same, the same software, the same powerful capability. So, a high school that's using our replay and the UI that operator is using, if they go to, a full-scale production where they're using SimplyLive replay, it's the same experience. They're going to have more sources. They'll have to switch layouts. Maybe there'll be more, more demand on them, but they will have learned, on that same, that mini system, to go all the way up. So, that's what we're here to do. And, we have, a lot of, high-end users. So to show, the level that we get to, because again, for us, it's that quality, and then being able to say, well, hey, if I'm a high school or university looking, to do, my productions, we just signed on as a conference, to broadcast all of this content on ESPN Plus, but like you said, affording all of that kit, or how do we set it up? How do we maintain it? No problem. We come with an easy solution that, that ESPN themselves uses. So certainly for them as a conference, right, or as a school to be able to do that, absolutely, we can do that. We can train them. We can make them feel comfortable. And then, when you talk about the cloud, as hopefully people adopt to that, it's now you even have a less requirement of on-site, because you say, all of a sudden I need another control room. I need to, I want to get another 4-camera production going. Fine, you just spin up that instance, and you have minimal requirements for the operator, web multi-viewer, boom, and I can spin that up and have it ready for you very quickly.
Right. I don't have the budget for a truck. I don't have a budget for the people. I don't have budget for the travel, expenses, et cetera, et cetera.
That's a huge component, exactly, and I hope that the pandemic certainly sort of really pushed that, and now now I think the gray area, the question mark will be how much of that sticks, because that's a big part of it. Those operational costs, traveling people, the amount of people being on site, all of those things. Look, for me as an operator, our technology literally allows you to do it from home, so I don't have to travel. I can set up my system, and hey, guess what? I can do 2 or 3 productions in a day, because, if I were traveling, I couldn't be in New York, in California on the same day to do a production. Whereas this way, I connect, to the venue or to the truck that might still be on site, the small truck for, the one production, and then later on I connect to the other, and I'm able to do that, from the same location.
Yeah. You'd be hard pressed to do 2 or 3 in 1 week. You'd be lucky if you could do one between going to the venue, traveling, and then the truck can't be in 2 different venues the same day. So I think too, like some of the your NEPs, your Game Creeks, when we have frank conversations, that I don't think the trucks will go away, but they'll just be smaller trucks. There'll be more of them. Or a lot of customers, there'll be a sound stage, but they don't have a control room in the sound stage. The truck's parked outside in the street. So I just think the assets will be shifted around. They'll be moved, and we're here to adapt as our customers' needs change. SimplyLive had popped up on our radar quite a few times, but what finally got me to connect with you, Greg, was some of the work with the PGA, and the PGA would cover, the final rounds of golf tournaments on during prime time on weekends for sports, your Saturday and Sunday afternoon tournaments. And whether it's PGA or Turner Sports or other sports entities, practices, etc., practice rounds that leading up to the final tournament, whatever it might be. We're doing a lot with fishing. Believe it or not, people enjoy watching bass tournaments on television, and coverage that normally wouldn't be covered, or lower level tournaments leading up to qualifying, leading up to the final rounds. They don't have the budget for a truck, and cellular and SimplyLive production tools make this type of coverage possible and affordable to cover.
Absolutely. That goes into more content and smaller budgets, but, that's what we're here, because sometimes the argument is, oh, well, you're taking jobs away, less people. No. The idea is more,
more hours. Right.
More hours, more events, exactly. You talk about more, again, SVG, great article about, ESPN and what they did at US Open tennis. So, the outer courts coverage, again, that was not traditionally covered. So, with Vbox, they originally started with 9 outer courts, and the article that just came out, they went all the way up to 14 courts. So 14 outer courts, which would never have been covered, which wouldn't be covered in a traditional sense because of the cost, the amount of people. Now they're doing it. So essentially, the entire tournament, from qualifiers all the way to the end, and certainly interesting this year because there was a qualifier, if I'm not mistaken, that won the tournament. So all of that is being covered, and able to do it in the small facility. And again, the quality of the production and we allowed them to do, really, it really shows it's a real experience and a real story about, what we're doing. Also, the Olympics, again, SVG, a little write up about NBC and, smaller control rooms that they built, to be able to add, to the live coverage that they were doing, because again, there's so many outlets and feeds that they have around the huge Olympics that, again, more coverage, more content.
Right. Yeah, and you touched on it too, Greg, that, operators, whether you're union or non-union, you don't get paid while you're in the airplane. You don't get paid while you're traveling. You're paid while you're on site. So if you can do 2 or 3 events a day instead of 1 or 2 events a week, you're going to make more money. I think this is the new normal, and then the industry won't have a shortage of personnel. We have so many outlets for content now. Hulu, YouTube, everyone has a streaming live platform of some sort. A lot of these bass tournaments that we're doing, some of it will appear on ESPN, but a lot of it's just going to websites. People either plop down a subscription to gain access, or there's commercials that run. The CDN streaming to the website inserts commercials like a regular broadcast, and that's how the revenue is generated. So linear television is not the same anymore. I can't get my kids to sit down on the couch and watch television with me anymore. They rather be in their bed. They watch TV like this on the little screen, So the way we watch is different. It's like, don't you want the big screen and the surround sound? Nope, I'm good, Dad. I watch this way.
I always it's great. But even for us, I want to watch on the big screen, and sometimes I'm like, oh, wait a second, no, linear. It's no, I gotta wait. That's on which streaming service is that on? Okay, I gotta go there to be able to watch it. But but that's it. It's not about again, yes, my kids are off in college now. They're playing. I want to be able to watch their feed. So being able to go, and I would be willing to pay for it, $5, $8, but whatever it might be. So it might be small, but again, it's there's that part of it for the industry to learn. Well, hey, how do we make some money on this? Now I have an easy way to to put a feed out there. I know that alumni or parents are willing to pay It's not going to be 1 million viewers, but, there might be 1,000 here, 500 there from the different events. And again, being able to, that starts to add up. We're getting commercials, like you say, for
Right.
those different things.
Right. We're helping some small production companies with just that. Obviously, if you're in the Bible Belt, Friday Night Lights, high school football is more important than professional football or college football. That these high school kids are already like semi-pro. So getting that on the local TV station, they don't have a huge budget. Satellite is too costly, so cellular combined with a SimplyLive is a great solution. In Southern California, believe it or not, high school football is very important, and some of that makes it onto some secondary broadcast channels. Turner Sports does some interesting things where they may not be the primary rights holder for a PGA tournament, but they have the rights for the warm up, and they interview the players while they're warming up, and they'll stream that to Facebook. And Procter and Gamble will pay for advertising because they get 500,000 to 1 million eyeballs watching the warm up of some PGA tournament. So if you're a golf fan, or any kind of fan, whatever your content is or your sport, peeking behind the curtain, that alternative content, we find some gems. VidOvation and our partner Avi West, we helped the PGA facilitate bringing back the first professional event in May during the lockdown, and it wasn't a sanctioned tournament. It was a charity event, the Skins Game in May of 2020. I believe the PGA switched that show in-house with their control room, but because the pandemic was going on, that control room was probably available. But we've done some PGA tournaments where the main control room was busy, and they used SimplyLive either remotely or in an ancillary area, and they were able to do a tournament at the same time of a major. They could cover some minor tournament. So SimplyLive was able to on a moment's notice, on short notice, give that extra capability to a customer. Let me see. I think I see a little question mark here. Did somebody have a question? Oh, this is a great question. Russ asks, what file format is being recorded and is accessible to other editors, say Avid or Premiere?
So our default codec is DNX, so DNX 145. We have ProRes now, and on the export side, so obviously I can export it as ProRes or DNX depending on what. But typically the servers are running DNX. So when I export it, I obviously can get that, but I can also change transcode to H.264 or even XDCAM. But typically, in those workflows, I'd be running DNX 145. I export that out. I can send that to the editor. The editor can edit it. Then they can drop it in a watch folder, and the server's connected to the watch folder. It shows back up, and then I have it in my clip database or in a particular bin that I set up, and I can bring it in. So we kind of have that full workflow. Of course, the Avid part of it, we're doing some additional development there, for checking in and things like that would make that specifically for an Avid workflow even more integrated.
Very good. What I like is the proxies for remote. That WebRTC is the protocol primarily used for esports, right? And latency and high quality. Because I'm not a remote gamer. I won't pretend I understand everything about it, but if you're collaborating and gaming with someone else around the world, latency obviously would be a problem. And WebRTC, you touched on that, Greg. It's robust. The latency is low enough, and it makes it possible to operate remotely. I learned a new term recently from one of our customers. They said we're doing remote directing. So the the director may not be pressing the buttons, but the director might because of COVID or health concerns or just don't have the time, may want to stay in their Malibu house, and they're calling the cameras over comms to a TD who is either physically on site or the TD is also remote. So remote TDing, remote directing. I mean, they're even doing this in non-live. I mean, have you dabbled in that? We're getting requests where the director for scripted or cinematic wants to see live proxies out of your Arri or your Red camera, so they can see that they got the shots, do some remote directing. So there could be a mixed element, live just for video assist or for seeing what's going on set, or even some movie executives where an executive producer wants to make sure they're filming. If everyone's sitting around drinking coffee on the remote set, that the executive can watch and see what's happening. We're burning $200,000 an hour having the set lit. What's happening, folks? Are we shooting today? Have you got into that space? Have there been requests for that kind of bridging?
No, I mean, on kind of the live to tape, although it's not tape. I mean, yes, we were doing like talk show stuff where they were using us to cut. So because the other thing, in addition to the ISOs, we can record the program. So you're basically doing a rough cut. That's recorded. That, along with the ISOs, is streamed off of the system, and then goes to post production, and then essentially they're able to edit and do the final show. So absolutely, that's available. We had done a demo actually early on, on one of these. I don't know, it wasn't a cooking show, it was some kind of show. I mean, it didn't get too far, but certainly, yes, those are interesting applications to to get into, and I think we obviously can do that. And again, I mean, we're a small company, we're a small team. But we want to be that way. So, if I get feedback, it goes directly to R&D, goes directly to the team to say, hey, can we do this? Can we make a UI specific to a certain workflow? Can we bring the data feed in and be able to work that into? So these are all things that we're open, and we're hoping as we get that feedback, because we want to be our product. Look, I'm going to say our product is good, but we're never happy. We always want to make it better and develop it based on the feedback of the end user.
Yes. Also, too, you said you're a small company, but you're also working with some of the largest players in the industry. And when VidOvation partners with a vendor, we kind of do our due diligence too. So I had some pretty lengthy talks with PGA. Hey, should we sign with these guys? SimplyLive, is this a good product? And ESPN, NBC, PGA. I hope I'm not breaking any NDAs right now, but I said it, Greg, so it's on me. They all said it's a rock solid solution. You guys really have developed a robust product that's affordable, and it's a little bit of a different workflow. I would say a simplified workflow, an easier workflow. You were telling us when you did our initial training, you really don't need much training. Just I guess the thing to get used to is 2/3 of the screen is under the red, so that's an immediate take. If you want to preview your takes first, you'd hit the right 1/3 of the screen, and then it's up. Then it pops up to the preview area. Then you tap the preview, then it goes live. So you go pop pop. So if the director kind of likes to, ready camera 2, okay, the TD then would hit the green area, bring it up in program. Wait, he changed his mind. Take 3, boom. Then you hit the red area of 3. So. That always cracked. I've done some amateur video engineering, never TD'd, but I'm always I volunteer at the Saddleback Church as a video engineer because I knew what a vector scope was and a line scope. I knew what that was. So they're like, "You're hired." Well, I'm a volunteer. So I'm always convinced the director's taking the camera I'm not shaded properly for. He'll be like, "Ready, camera 2, take 4."
Yeah.
Where's
Right.
the
Right.
ready for? Where you skip a step. So the TD's got to be ready to dump to 4 because we're not previewing 4. But if you're controlling at Saddleback Church, a lot of times the director was the TD, so he knows what he. But I say sometimes that was a negative. There would be a good shot where the director now has this, hey, where's that macro button? Where, he's not looking at the multi-viewer, and a good shot was missed. So, if you're short on staff, so you can afford to have a director watching the multi-viewer, making sure they're getting all the shots. That an operator can multitask, but it's not necessary, right?
Look, it's there in front of you. So, the training part, we train people the day of, most of them haven't seen it. We show them. It's like, look, yes, the bar. Look, if you don't like 70/30, you want to make it 60/40, you have that option. But
Oh, I didn't know that.
there.
Okay.
It's in front of you to set this, So you see that shot you're pointing at? Yeah, just touch the screen. Oh yeah, there it is. So it's so intuitive, easy to use. I mean, we spend an hour, training somebody, and even within that hour, I mean, less than an hour. I mean, look, in 5 minutes in the little reel that I ran, I gave you the main things, but it's,
Yeah.
going through that, the basics are there, they're covered, you're able to cut cameras. Okay, I get how to key the graphics. Okay, that's nice to do a replay. You start with one replay, then as you start to get comfortable, hey, I've got a second replay. Hey, now I'm going to get that, that crowd reaction in there. So it builds, but the base, it's very short training. And yes, it's the director and the producer that are actually doing it. And a lot of them, it's, it's fun and exciting for them. Like, hey, this is cool. I get to do it. I actually like doing this. And it's, been a great experience. And for me, you brought up, like Switcher and where is it? For me, I think the interesting part is, training the next generation of production people. So we take away kind of that physical intimidation, say, no,
Your
look, it's
head's
all there
up.
in front of you. Yeah.
You're not looking down at buttons because you don't know where your fingers are.
It's
Or,
there. Yeah.
there's like a little bump on, so okay, 5 is in the middle. I got 10 cameras. You're feeling by braille where you are, and you got to look down the cheat. This way, my screen is my multi-viewer, and I don't miss anything. So missing, if you're short, if your production doesn't have the personnel to have a dedicated director and a dedicated TD, you won't miss any of those shots.
You won't miss, and you're learning again. If it's on new people learning, you're learning the other nuances of telling that story of, what cameras to cut, when to cut, being able to say, hey, camera 2, zoom in a little bit. I want a certain shot, take
Right.
2,
Right.
those little details, replays. When do I do a replay? Not, all of those things. So now we allow you to focus, what story am I trying to tell? It's all there. It's all in front of me, and I'm learning that. And then, yes, certainly, being able to eventually, be a director or be a TD on a larger, production, a larger, physical switcher. And I think part of it for us too is training people. Okay, but I'm a, TD. Probably the hardest for us are TDs, and nothing against TDs, but they're used to a certain way. So wait,
Yeah.
how do I? No.
You have to retrain them.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've been doing it for 20
yeah,
years with buttons. Now what do I do? But if they really need to have the buttons, you can facilitate that. You have a variety of control surfaces if that's what's warranted. Um, One thing too, you and I had talked about this, and I just want to let customers know. So, Avi West, our stream hub, it's the brain. It's not just the receiver. Avi West, actually, I think it's a great name. It's a streaming hub, so they call it the stream hub. There's ins and outs, SRT in, IP out. If it's a physical device, there's SDI ins and outs. But what I'm envisioning is spinning up adjacent. We typically use AWS, so spinning up a demo instance of SimplyLive, connecting it to the Avi West cloud. The VidOvation team will get some training, and then we can invite customers. I love the whole waiting room idea. So, we could have a demo with XYZ network next week, and we would send them credentials. Here's the server you log in. Then we could take an SRT output and hit an IRD in their master control so they could see the program out of the show we're going to, the fake show we're going to switch during the demo. We even transport over AWS Elemental Media Connect. And we can give, we're doing a lot with the PGA with that, where we either give them an invitation to the Media Connect SRT feed, or they make a request and we hand off to them. So the AWS and the Media Connect cloud is a big part of our business. We also work with Google, Azure, and whatnot. You mentioned Tata. Tata does own some AviWest gear. Maybe we can talk more about some of the maybe to help proliferate SimplyLive and other VidOvation offerings. Maybe we can help each other with some introductions, because we need the cloud provider to make it all happen. VidOvation is not quite big enough yet to have its own cloud. I don't know about you guys, Greg, but
yeah, but that's cloud for us is going to be that's what we're working through. But certainly, right now a lot of the testing is with the knowledgeable, the network. So we're doing some testing with them. So there it's like, well, look, we know we own our AWS instances. What do we need? Okay, and we're just licensing software to them and working with them to do that. So, but yes, then we have the model to say, well, what about conferences or universities or high schools? Yeah, they want to cover their football, they want to get it out there, but how do we do it? We don't know. Fine, we would have you would send the cameras out. We would say, what do you need? You want to do a 4-camera production? No problem. So we would potentially say, yeah, here's a SimplyLive cloud instance. You have the specs. What do you need? Here you go. Send the feeds to here. Where your operator is going to be. Here's the connection for them to control and do the live switching and replays. And the output goes out. So it's that model we're working on, but that's kind of the idea for us. We'll have the software, or then providing kind of the full kit, and they're probably partnering with others to say, okay, being like you said, we're not big enough to potentially do that, but we'll still be kind of the engineering back end management of that as it deploys, because I think that's going to be the again, there's security, there's things, but we're working through all of that. So we know, look, we're more, we're kind of the engineers at heart. So we really work hard on it working, testing, making sure it's live, because we know, look, this is live. We come with a lot of experience, and I think that's a big part of SimplyLive. We don't know what's the people behind. I think that's really, really important, because we know live it's live. We're the program. So if something happens, there's nothing's going on air. So we know the stress. We know what it's supposed to look like, the pain, the good and the bad. We're not saying we know everything, but we certainly come with that understanding, and hopefully we answer 80% of the questions. They've got it all pretty much covered. Then we've got these little details specific to what we do, and we're able to to deploy quickly and easily, and hopefully push that technology.
Right. Well, I think the important thing too is I don't think I'm not aware of any of our customers that are fully 100% cloud. It's a hybrid, and if you're not, there could be cloud elements to it. There could be physical elements. When we did the Ryder Cup with Turner, they did have some trucks on site, and they did shading locally. Because of when you stream over bonded cellular or the public internet, there could be a half a second or a few hundred milliseconds of latency, and sometimes shading a golf ball going through the air. Okay, it's in the woods, or it's against the trees. Yeah. Oh, now it's in the sky. Now it's on the green. The shade during that whole arc can be challenging. So there's like Greg said, like you said, Greg, we'll design a system to whatever you need. Do it fully in the cloud, partially in the cloud, or a mixture of the above. Well, I think we've gone more than 90 minutes, and this is all great stuff, Greg. I can talk shop all day with someone like you. So thank you so much for doing this. It was a great presentation. What I may do is in post-production, I'll have my team edit the real video in so that the choppy video is not in the recording. So we'll fix up the recorded content. It takes us about a week to get the content ready. That's a common thing. Like we'll get a flood of emails later today. Oh, darn it, I missed the event. So we try to put it up within a week and be on the website, and you'll see more content on SimplyLive on the VidOvation website, or you're certainly welcome to go to SimplyLive. It's simplylive.tv, correct, is your URL?
Correct. Yeah. So yeah, certainly. Look, if for those, for now, we have a video section. So, seeing kind of a more detailed demo, kind of like I showed here, but, getting into a little bit more on the all-in-one, on the replay, on the Vbox. So we have all of those on our website. So you can, you can have at least a first look there. The video will be smooth and it'll be a lot easier to understand. And then, certainly we're here along with Jim to work together and be able to then, kind of take the next step and talk about it. Yes. And being able to, whether it's deploying a kit, testing, the cloud aspect of it, or look, we're on the East Coast, Jim is on the West. So, we have kit here. So being able to show, well, look, there's cameras in the office there. They're sending it to us. The server's sitting here. The operator is somewhere else. So you have the operator there in your office to say, look, here's the cameras here. Here's the operator here switching. And you have the servers, over in Pennsylvania, and, showing that experience. And it's real, it works, and how all that.
Right. We can show you a real world demo where some of the pieces are in Southern California, et cetera. We typically spin up AWS instances close to where the customer is working, but most of our demo stuff is in the AWS NOC in Oregon on the West Coast. But yeah, you might be on the East Coast AWS, or even in the Google NOC somewhere else in the world, and we can have the SRT or NDI streams going back and forth, so we can show that. It's not just theoretical, it's real world. We really do know how to collaborate. Well, thanks so much, Greg. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. One last, Bob said he appreciated the shout out for Kairos. I'm sorry, Russ appreciated the shout out. No, it wasn't Russ. It was Bob Hawkinson. Do you know him? Is he with?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, Bob.
I think.
Look again. Here's SimplyLive, and working with Panasonic. They obviously do great things. So again, showing what we do from the all-in-one, but being able to integrate with fantastic partners, because again, that's there's a lot of good pieces out there. So, so fitting those in together and, being flexible and open to do that is very, very important.
Yeah, I should also mention we're a Panasonic partner as well. So maybe we can broaden the integration. That's part of what VidOvation does. I mean, we're a reseller distributor, but primarily I think of us as a systems integrator or a technology integrator. Not every customer has the technical know-how on staff to integrate, to put bonded cellular in the cloud, how to integrate it with SimplyLive, how to install it on AWS, how to connect to Media Connect. We smooth out all those bumps. We make all that easy, and we have the support of vendors like SimplyLive to help us facilitate that and make it easier for our mutual customers. So, all right, Greg, well, thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. We'll have the recording up in about a week, And if you have any questions, please call 949-777-5435. That's the main VidOvation number. Or email sales@vidovation.com. That's VIDOVATION.com. Have a great day. Thanks again, Greg. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye.